friends. Today we are going to be looking at some of my sewing supplies. These particular supplies I keep right here in this little 3-tiered drawer. It's black and clear. We're going to start by looking in the bottom drawer. So in this drawer I keep some sewing machine feet. These are for when I want to do different kinds of stitches and bias tape, buttonholes. These are all for my computerized sewing machine. I can also do freehand embroidery, and then some letters and things that come on my machine. This is just a little bag of needles and other little papers and things for my machine. Here's some safety pins. Here is a cloth measuring tape, which is good for measuring body parts or other things that I need to be round, more three-dimensional. Here is a bobbin case. This is for my vintage machine that was made in the 1950s. I need to fix, can't get it, there we go. I need to fix this part. I have a replacement piece, but I haven't gotten around to fixing it yet. This is a flathead and Phillips head screwdriver. This is good for taking my machines apart if there is something wrong with them and I need to get fabric or thread or replace a part. This is really nice to have. Here is a little thing of dental floss. I like to use dental floss when I have some thread that is caught in between pieces of machinery in my sewing machine. So you just floss it out like you would your teeth. And that is it for the things that are in this drawer. In this drawer, there are lots of needles. I like to use Schmetz needles. I find that they don't break as easy and they work really good for fleece. especially this 116 size. Here are some Singer needles. These ones are titanium, so they are less likely to break than regular sewing needles. This has universal sizes, so it has different ones. And over here is the titanium ballpoint, which is also different sizes. These are heavy-duty hand needles, so if you need to sew by hand through very thick fabric or something, that is what these needles would be used for. Here's some more Singer needles. As you can see, I've used all the ballpoint needles, but none of the universal. There was a while there where it was hard to buy packs that were just ballpoints, so I had to get these, and then I'm just have a lot of leftover universal needles. Here's another thing of Schmetz needles, and another. Here's a thimble. I don't use a thimble very often unless I am really working with some very thick fabric and I am hand sewing. Here's a yarn needle. Yarn needles have very blunt tips. They are not sharp. So if you're knitting, then you don't accidentally put the needle through the yarn. It's easy to put it in between like so. Here are my hand sewing needles. These ones are pretty sharp. Here's some heavy-duty Singer and titanium universal. Here are the blades for my rotary cutter. That's really nice when you want to get a nice straight line. It kind of looks like a pizza cutter. Almost like this, but sharp. This is a marking tool. So you put your fabric down and you push down and you run this across the fabric and it leaves a little mark, so you don't have to worry about staining the fabric or erasing lines. Here is an air erasable marker. So this will stay on fabric for a small amount of time before it dries and erases itself. So that's really nice when you are working with fabric and you're making something that you don't want to or you can't wash after you're done with it. Here is the screwdriver that came with my computerized sewing machine. here are some hand sewing needles. So these are the blunt tips, and these are, again, they're more for thick things like yarn. You can use these with fleece. I let my son use these ones when he's making little toys out of fleece and things, because he can push these through the fabric, but he cannot get hurt with them. Here are 2 stitch removers. So when you have a stitch that is done wrong, or usually a lot of stitches that are done wrong, you go underneath it and you can kind of cut the stitch, and then you can just pull the thread out sometimes. There are a few safety pins. Here's another needle that's blunt. This one is plastic. And then here are some stitch markers and stitch lockers. So if you want to keep your stitches when you're knitting, you can slide them off the needle onto here, and then you can lock it so you don't lose your stitches. The same with this one, has a little lock. This one is just a stitch marker. So if you've already counted, or you know where you need to put a different color or something next in your knitting or crocheting, you can put this through the loop, and then that tells you where, so you don't have to keep counting. Here is a very tiny eyeglass screwdriver. These are keepers. You put them on the end of your knitting needle, and then they can hold your work on your needle. That way you don't lose your work off of the tip. So I think that's just about everything in here. Safety pins, stitch markers, blunt needles, and all of my needles. In this first drawer, the top one is my button collection. I have a lot of different kinds. I like to buy the buttons when I see them on sale or when I find them in the thrift store. I have These are 20 buttons, 5/8 inch or 16 millimeters. And they are a teal color. Some little pearl buttons. Other different little packs of buttons. I think these ones are cool, though I probably wouldn't put them on my clothing or anything like that. They look black when you look at them from the front, but if you look at them from the side, you can see that they are green. These buttons are probably my favorites. They have little castle kind of watchtowers on them, and they have a sword and a shield. I haven't found a project for these yet. It's difficult because they only come in 2, so I don't really have anything that only uses 2 buttons. Usually it's sweaters and things, and I'm using 4 or 5. Here's a pack of little tiny cardigan buttons. These are good for children's clothing. I have some other little packs. It's purple, some wood colored ones, pink, and I have some of these, which are handmade, hand-painted ceramic buttons. I really like these ones there. There we go. I also have some of the purple ones there. A little bit of a different design and color. And I have some of these kind of green ones, and those all look like flowers, different kinds of flowers. This one I like. It looks like a little disco ball. I have a few of these, but they're different sizes. And I have these left over from a pajama set I made when my son was younger. I like them. Oops. I like them. They are little clocks. He had a superb obsession with clocks. From the time he was about 8 months old until he was almost 3, he had to point out every single clock he saw. And wherever we went, he would always remember where all the clocks were, and he would show them to me. So a lot of his clothing or other things that I bought him around that time, they all have clocks. Here's a little giraffe button. And another one. And B. And 3. And here is another one of those handmade ceramic buttons, but it is much bigger than the one that I have shown you already. So I think that is all I'm going to show you out of these supplies that I have. This away. I'll slide that over there. Thank you for watching. I hope you have a great day, and I will see you